Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq condoles the Lebanese president on the victims of the explosion in the port of Beirut and expresses the Sultanate's solidarity with the Republic of Lebanon. And at least 100 people are killed and more than 4,000 wounded in a massive explosion in Beirut. Now, live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television, here we present to you the details of this news bulletin. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq had a phone call with His Excellency General Imad Michel Aoun, President of the Republic of Lebanon, on the victims of the explosion that occurred in the port of Beirut. His Majesty the Sultan extended his sincere condolences and sympathy to His Excellency and the families of the victims, praying to Allah Almighty for the victims to be blessed with His mercy and comfort their loved ones with patience and solace, wishing a speedy recovery for the injured and to protect the brotherly Lebanese people against any harm. From his side, His Excellency the President expressed his thanks to His Majesty the Sultan for his noble feelings and good initiative and his appreciation for the Sultanate's stand with the Lebanese government and his sincere wishes to His Majesty the Sultan and the Omani people. Also, His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends a cable of condolences to His Excellency General Imad Michel Aoun, President of the Republic of Lebanon, on the victims of the explosion that occurred in the port of Beirut. His Majesty the Sultan extended his sincere condolences and sympathy to His Excellency and the families of the victims, praying to Allah Almighty for the victims to be blessed with His mercy and comfort their loved ones with patience and solace, wishing a speedy recovery to the injured and to protect the brotherly Lebanese people against any harm. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends a cable of greetings to Her Excellency Janine Áñez, Interim President of the Republic of Bolivia, on her country's independence anniversary. His Majesty the Sultan also sends a cable of greetings to His Excellency Dr. Patrick Linton Allen, Governor General of Jamaica, on his country's independence anniversary. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq received a cable of thanks from His Excellency Khaltmajin Batulga, President of Mongolia, in reply to His Majesty's cable of greetings on his country's National Day. The Supreme Committee entrusted to discuss mechanism to deal with the developments resulted from the spread of coronavirus COVID-19 followed up during its continuous convening chaired by His Excellency Sayyid Hamoud bin Faisal Al Busaidi, Minister of Interior, the developments of this pandemic, its prevention measures and ways to avoid its spread. The committee discussed the initial reports related to the complete lockdown among the Sultanate's governorates, which started from Saturday 25th of July and continues till Saturday the 8th of August 2020. Based on that, the committee decided to lift complete lockdown among the Sultanate's governorates at 6 a.m. on Saturday 8th of August 2020 and to reduce the hours of movement ban at night in all governorates of the Sultanate to be between 9 p.m. till 5 a.m. starting from Saturday evening 8th of August till Saturday morning 15th of August 2020. Based on the indicators of the epidemiological condition, the committee also decided that the lockdown of the governorate of the Far shall be continued until further notice. May Allah protect all from any harm. The Sultanate expressed its deep sorrow for the unfortunate explosions that took place in Beirut port yesterday evening. In a statement, the Sultanate of Oman expresses its deep sorrow and sadness at the unfortunate explosions that took place in Beirut port, and as the Sultanate expressed its solidarity and standing with the Republic of Lebanon and its brotherly people, it extends its sincere condolences and sympathy to the families of the victims and wishes a speedy recovery for the injured. The Sultanate hopes that Lebanon will overcome this painful ordeal and that peace and security to prevail throughout its territories. Meanwhile, the Sultanate's embassy in Beirut affirmed that all Omani citizens in Beirut are fine after the unfortunate explosion that struck the Lebanese capital. The embassy extended its condolences to the families of the victims, praying to Almighty Allah to grant the injured a speedy recovery. An official with the Lebanese Red Cross said at least 100 people were killed and more than 4,000 wounded in a massive explosion in Beirut yesterday. Rescuers searched for survivors in Beirut today after a catalysmic explosion at the port sowed devastation across entire neighborhoods. The blast, which appeared to have been caused by a fire igniting 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate left unsecured in a warehouse, was felt as far away as Cyprus, some 240 kilometers to the northwest. The scale of the destruction was such that the Lebanese capital resembled the scene of an earthquake, with thousands of people left homeless and thousands more cramming into overwhelmed hospitals for treatment. Prime Minister Hassan Diab, in a short televised speech, has appealed to all countries and friends of Lebanon to extend help to this small nation. He reiterates his pledge that those responsible for the massive explosion at Beirut's port will pay the price, without commenting on the cause. The Arab League and some world leaders reacted on the Beirut explosion. Arab League Chief Ahmed Abul Gheit offered condolences, stressing the importance of finding the truth about the explosions. United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres expressed his deepest condolences following the horrific explosions in Beirut, which he said had also injured some United Nations personnel. France said it was sending search and rescue experts aboard 3 military planes loaded with a mobile clinic and tons of medical and sanitary supplies. President Emmanuel Macron is to travel to Lebanon tomorrow to meet all political actors following the catastrophe. Macron tweeted in Arabic earlier, saying that France is at the side of Lebanon always. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson called the pictures and videos from Beirut are shocking. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump said it looks like a terrible attack and that US generals had told him that the powerful explosions appeared to have been caused by a bomb of some kind. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and yet to come in our news bulletin. Tropical storm Isaias whips up eastern US and France fights fires in Marseille region. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. The COVID-19 pandemic has killed at least 701,112 people worldwide since it surfaced in China late last year. There have been at least 18.5 million cases registered in 196 countries and territories. The United States has recorded the most deaths with 156,830, followed by Brazil on 95,819, Mexico 48,869, Britain 46,299, and India with 39,795 fatalities. In South Africa, the hardest hit country in Africa, some 24,000 health workers have contracted the virus and 181 have died since March. The health ministry said nearly a third of the population in Afghanistan, or 10 million people, has been infected with the virus, drawing on the data from a survey based on antibody tests on around 9,500 people across the country. Egypt and Sudan have suspended talks with Ethiopia after it proposed linking a deal on its newly constructed reservoir and hydroelectric dam to a border agreement about Blue Nile waters that would replace a colonial-era accord with Britain. The African Union-led talks among the three key Nile basin countries are trying to resolve a years-long dispute over Ethiopia's constructions of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam on the Blue Nile. The deal effectively prevents upstream countries from taking any action such as building dams and filling reservoirs that would reduce the share of Nile's water of the downstream countries Egypt and Sudan. At least 7 people were killed in tropical storm as Tropical Storm Asias battered the U.S. East Coast with rain and fierce winds after making landfall as a hurricane in North Carolina. Millions of people were without power after felled trees down power lines. In New Jersey, more than 1 million homes and businesses were without electricity. Regional rail services was also suspended in Philadelphia after Asias raised the Schuylkill River and sent an unsecured construction barge into a bridge. Interstate 676, which crosses the bridge, was also closed in both directions. Asias sustained top winds of up to 105 kilometers per hour more than 18 hours after coming ashore. Fires fueled by strong Mediterranean winds have raced across multiple towns in the Marseille region of France. They have left at least 22 people injured and forced the evacuation of 2,700 tourists, nursing home residents and others. Some 1,800 firefighters battled the worst the fire through the night around the town of Martigues and are still working to extinguish it. Its flames spread quickly from a wooded area towards the sea, sweeping through residential areas and multiple campgrounds. Five other fires in the area that erupted yesterday were brought under control. The cause of the fire is yet unknown. Back in the south, under the latest analysis and numerical weather charts of the National Multi-Hazard Early Warning Center predicts the chance of a tropical low pressure developments over the northeastern Arabian Sea on Thursday, 6th of August 2020, causing advection of clouds commencing on Friday, 7th of August over the governorates of Muscat South and North Sharqiya, Al-Dakhiliya South and North Al-Batina, Al-Zahira, Al-Buraymi and Al-Wusta, with chances of varying intensity of rainfall, occasionally thunder showers, reaching the peak on Saturday, 8th of August. Flash floods and fresh downdraft winds causing blowing dust over desert and open areas are expected until Monday, the 10th of August 2020. Seas will be rough with a maximum wave height of 5 meters. Sea water inundation is predicted to affect the low-lying areas along the coastal areas during high tides. The Public Authority for Civil Aviation advises the citizens and residents to take precautions and stay away from low-lying areas, avoid crossing flowing wadis, avoid venturing out to sea and follow up all official weather bulletins. Dukham Power Company is preparing to perform initial testing for the trial operation of some generation units of the integrated power and water plant at the Special Economic Zone at Dukham within its plan for the comprehensive electricity and water projects. More details coming up in this report.
As part of Dukham Electricity and Water Comprehensive Project, which is a joint project between the Central Utilities Company, Marafiq, and Gulf Pacific Holding Company, Dukham Power Company is preparing to perform initial testing for the trial operation of some generation units of the integrated electricity and water plant at the Special Economic Zone at Dukham. In the first phase of the project, 2 of the 6 generation units will be operated to provide electricity for Dukham refinery. It is expected that in the coming months, works will be completed at this giant plant, which will produce upon completion 326 megawatts of electricity and 36,000 cubic meters of desalinated water per day. The project also includes a seawater intake facility with a capacity of 1.5 million cubic meters per day and a seawater reverse osmosis desalination facility with a capacity of 900,000 cubic meters per day. The completion rate at this project is around 71%. Dukham Power Company is also implementing a 132 kV power transmission project between the integrated electricity and water plant and Ras Markaz area, stretching for about 75 kilometers to supply Oman Tank Terminal Company with electricity. The completion rate at this project has reached more than 94%. For the Sultanate of Oman Television, Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi.
You're watching the Sultanate of Oman Television, and before we conclude this news bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq condoles the Lebanese president on the victims of the explosion in the port of Beirut and expresses the Sultanate's solidarity with the Republic of Lebanon. And at least 100 people are killed and more than 4,000 wounded in a massive explosion in Beirut. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman Television, directed by Mohammed Al-Mahrouqi and English in charge editor Ra'al Al-Jordaniya. From me, Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rubi'i, and the entire news team, we thank you for joining us. Wish you a pleasant evening. Do stay at home, safe and healthy. Good night.